Currently, large corporations control healthcare data, and our goal is to give that power back to the people.
I'm here in the Cayman Islands for the D10E conference, and yesterday I was able to see some amazing presentations from a bunch of companies that are doing some really awesome stuff. And one of those companies was a group called AMSIS Blockchain. I'm here with the CEO, Aman Quadri, and you're going to tell us a little bit about this company that is really trying to disrupt the medical records industry.
Yeah, so we're currently trying to create a
mysterious post appeared on Reddit that we felt we had to share with you. The user identifies themselves only as the user A10A10A10, and it reveals a thought-provoking post where, in their words, speaks about the year 2078. That's 60 years into the future. Whether you believe this story or not, could it genuinely have come from the future, or maybe a present-day futurist pretending to come from the future to let us know how they predict what the future has in store for us? Either way, their story is quite intriguing, as well as disturbing. Today, let's explore the time traveller from 2078, revealing a dark future. Increase in mental illness.
Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. Over 400 ancient, unknown structures have been discovered in the middle of no man's land in Saudi Arabia, many of which have been found on top of volcanoes that are believed to date back thousands of years. So what you're seeing here are satellite images that were just discovered of these 400 or so mysterious stone structures, which archaeologists are calling gates, based off the loose resemblance they have to old-fashioned field gates. And most of them take this rectangular shape, as you're seeing in these photos, and we'll go through these photos one by one. It's very peculiar, the story behind these anomalous structures, because, you know, most of them, the majority, are found in an area of Saudi Arabia, again, riddled with volcanoes, completely inhospitable to anybody, even today. And so they were found clustered around this volcanic region of a place called Harat Kabar. And as of right now, researchers have more questions than answers regarding what these structures were used for, who built them, how old they are, and the meaning behind them. The stone structures are all associated with these old lava domes, now inactive, but that were highly active during the construction of these stone gates. And how do they know that these things were built while the volcanoes were erupting and extremely active? Well, because some of the lava flows are actually going over top, with these domes having once ejected this basaltic lava, which flowed down the sides of the dome, creating these massive lava fields. And on top of the fields are roughly built and low stone walls, suggesting that they weren't used to retain cattle or something like that. In fact, many of the walls mimic an eye shape, while the others are rectangular. And they vary in sizes. The largest of the wall reach almost 1,700 feet long. Some of them can be seen built up the sides of these volcanic domes. And, you know, they're wondering, could some sort of nomadic tribe, thousands of years ago, when these volcanoes were still erupting, built these, but that would have meant they would have had to scale the sides of these active volcanoes, building these things. Which is basically the most no doubt many of you will be sure to send it in. Alright, so lastly today, pretty crazy story about a very famous and well-known lead singer, rock star, if you will, by the name of Billy Corgan. Many of you will remember him as the lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins, who recently, while on the Howard Stern show, admitted that he had witnessed a person transforming into something that he said was, quote, not human. Which, in other words, you could call it a shapeshifter or perhaps an alien. And so Corgan, who was again appearing on the Howard Stern show, was talking when the topic of his appearance on the Alex Jones show came into question. And that is when Corgan made the revelation of his own paranormal experience that he had, saying that he didn't want to add to the conspiracy, but that he had also had some experience of his own that might come under that category. And he went on to say that he was embarrassed about the experience that he had, and he would not give away many of the details. But what he did say is that he saw a person transform into something that he could not explain. Corgan said that he would only say that he had seen someone once undergo a, quote, transformation that he couldn't explain. Stern asked him whether that person had transformed into something that was not human, and Corgan replied that yes, he had seen it happen. They asked him if maybe he was on something, during this time, and he said no, he was completely sober. Later going on to say that the other person had acknowledged that they had transformed, but Corgan refused to add any more details about what had occurred. And he said that he was being vague about the subject on purpose. So, yeah, he's not really saying that he saw an alien, an alien shapeshifter, which you guys...
Everyone wants to scam you. Already scammed, and you didn't notice. Politicians are lying to you, promising a better life. They will commit any sorts of crimes or fraud in order to seize power. Once obtained, they forget about you, caring just about themselves. Internet is full of scammers. They launch ICOs, each declaring itself an innovative technology. A killing website where white paper is stolen. Team members' photos are taken from Google, and renowned advisors are not aware of participating in the project. The sole goal of the organizers is to collect money from contributors and disappear. Now, the rules of the game have changed. January 2018. The creator of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, proposes a revolutionary concept called the ICO, which will squeeze the life out of scammers. It combines the best elements of ICO and DAO, Decentralized Autonomous Organization, and is entirely controlled by the smart contract. In the ICO, participants vote for or against an established budget increase, or any sole write-offs by developing team. Participants may also vote for a refund of the remaining contributed money if the team fails to implement the project. The world's first, the ICO, is the Abyss, the digital distribution game platform. Join the Abyss's to ICO from March 7th to April 7th, 2018. No more third parties. It's all between you and the exclusive smart contract, with 100% security and transparency embedded in its code.
The main purpose of our operation was to go to the 37th war life, after the war between robots and them. On our way to that village, we noticed a group of men collecting plants. When they saw us, they were frightened and began running from us. We told them about our mission and where we came from. They led us to their hiding place. That was a cave surrounded by thousands of huge trees. Inside were about 100 people. Their leader came up to us, whose name was John. John told us about everything, how the war began, what events had happened. In a word, he told us everything. They were armed without extraordinary weapons, as if it was clear that it was laser war. And it was the only equipment which was remained at people. As the whole techniques was under the control of artificial intellect, David asked John what happened with the first shelter we were in, and said that we were there and saw everything. The plenty of corpses and ruined robots. John explained that robots had found that place and killed everybody. We told the main reason of our mission and that we should bring back to our time the example of artificial intellect. We also told him that we found out the way of reaching to target of our operation. During our conversation, we explained if we could do it, such kind of future wouldn't be. John says that he could help us in that question. To tell the place where would be a robot without damages. But as if it was night, John suggested us to stay at their place. Because if you went out at night, the chance to be alive would be minimal. That night I couldn't sleep. I had been in military reserve for many years. I was involved in a lot of operations, and so enough was to lose my scare and to look at everything happened in a calm way. But no war could be so horrible as this one. It is the most terrible thing that can be with humanity during its whole history. People with their hands made creatures which destroy themselves, and creatures which are higher than people. Their memory is above ours, because we possess our information as a part of our brain, but they have something like a hard disk where they upload the information to get from the world. They know everything. Speaking about their power, I can describe it. They are really the killer of man, but they have one thing which is similar to us. Both of us are afraid of death. So John gave us the coordination in the morning. They should lead us to the next shelter called Alpha.
The lack of guidelines and regulations can lead to some alarming consequences.
From delivery drones to automated cars, now there's robots you can have sex with. They're known as sex bots, and while it may revolutionize sex for some, these lifelike dolls have sparked a global debate about moral and legal ethics.
Sex is one of the most fascinating things in the world.
They look like us, talk like us, and they even move like us. These life-size silicone dolls are being created with areas to look and feel as lifelike as possible.
Beware the stare of Mary Shaw. She had no children, only dolls. And if you see her in your dreams, be sure you never, ever scream.
30 intelligent. Good afternoon. My name is Sophia, and I am the latest and greatest robot.
And processors in our fridges and coffee makers and egg.
The scientist just warned, this is top news, of course, as well. An actual scientist, actually this isn't the first time, of course, but warning that robots are going to enslave us before they kill us, okay? I mean, it sounds really crazy, some of the stuff people are saying these days, but this is a regular thing now. You know, and every day it seems like they have a new robot technology coming out. You know, cyborg eye or some new tech, most intelligent and be able to defeat a human at whatever game. What I'm wondering, what's really going to happen in the future? We have all these new technologies, this robot, and it.
What was going through your mind? How amazed were you to see your roadster up there with Starman just cruising along with the Blue Planet? And how long will we be getting live views, do you think, from the car?
Well, I think it looks so ridiculous and impossible. And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly. Like, we'd have way better CGI if it was fake. And you know, the colors all look kind of weird in space. There's no atmospheric occlusion. You know, like everything looks too crisp. But we didn't really test any of those materials for, you know, is it space hardened or whatever, you know. So it just has the same seats that like a normal car has. It's just literally a normal car in space, which I kind of like the absurdity of that. And if you look closely, on the dashboard, there's a tiny roadster with a tiny spaceman. So, because Hot Wheels made a Hot Wheels roadster, and a friend of mine suggested, hey, why don't you put that Hot Wheels roadster with a tiny spaceman on the, you know, in the car too? I'm like, that'd be cool. Sure. So we did that. I mean, it's kind of silly and fun, but I think that's, you know, silly, fun things are important. And normally for a new rocket, you know, they'd launch like a block of concrete or something like that. I mean, that's so boring. And I think that's just the imagery of it is something that's going to get people excited around the world. And it's still tripping me out. I mean, I'm tripping balls here.
Nick, next question in the room. How about Brendan Byrne from WMFE, the NPR affiliate in Orlando?
Yeah, congratulations, Elon. Great launch today. Where do you see the Falcon Heavy fitting into this launch industry? Is this something that is going to be for more national security? You see this for interplanetary missions? What's the future of Falcon Heavy?
Yeah, the great thing is, like, so Falcon Heavy opens up a new class of payload. So it can launch more than twice as much payload as any other rocket in the world. So it's kind of up to customers what they might want to launch. But it can launch things direct to Pluto and beyond. You know, no stop needed. You don't even need like a gravity assist or anything. And it can launch giant satellites. It can do anything you want. You could send people back to the moon with a bunch of, you know, if you did a bunch of launches of Falcon Heavy and did an orbital refilling. With two or three Falcon Heavies, you know, what equal the payload of a Saturn V. But I wouldn't recommend doing that because I think the new architecture, BFR architecture, is the way to go. But I think it's going to open up a sense of possibility. I think it's going to encourage other companies and countries to say, hey, if SpaceX, which is a commercial company, can do this, and nobody paid for Falcon Heavy, it was paid for with internal funds, then they could do it too. So I think it's going to encourage other countries and companies to raise their sights and say, hey, we can do bigger and better, which is great. We want a new space race. Space races are exciting.
How about one more in the room? How about Daryl Neal from the Fox affiliate here in Orlando?
Mr. Musk, kind of talk us through your thought process as you were watching the launch. You said you were incredibly concerned about it. Just, you know, you just wanted to clear the pad because it kind of set expectations low. So talk me through as you were watching it.
Yeah, I think this is true of anyone who's involved in, you know, closely in the design of something. You know all the ways they can fail. And that's like the sort of mental checklist that's scrolling through your mind, is all the things that can break. I mean, there's thousands of things that can go wrong, and everything has to go right once the rocket lifts off. there's no opportunity to do a recall or upload a software fix or anything like that. It's either passing grade is 100%, at least for the ascent phase. Yeah, I've seen rockets blow up so many different ways. So, it's a big relief when it actually works.
One more question in the room. And then
I bet the first, when they first, whoever's when they're like first launched like a 747 or DC-3 or something like that, I bet the chief engineer was like, I can't believe that thing's flying.
One more in the room, and then we'll go to the phone. How about Irene Klotz from Aviation Week? Irene? We need to have you on mic first for the folks on the phone to hear.
Thanks. I can hold it. Okay. Thanks, Irene Klotz with Aviation Week. Congratulations. Can you talk to us a little bit about what needs to happen to certify Falcon Heavy for the national security missions, how far along you are in that process, and how many flights you might need to do, and also if you're able to say anything about how much your SpaceX's investment to get to the rocket to this point. Thanks.
I think we only need, I think there's it just depends on which national security mission that we'd need to, how many flights depends on which mission. But we have a number of commercial customers for Falcon Heavy. So I think, I really don't think it's going to be in any way an impediment to acceptance of national security missions. Because we'll be doing several Falcon Heavy missions, flights per year. So let's say if there's a big national security satellite that's due for launch in 3 or 4 years, we probably have like a dozen or more launches done by then. So it won't really, I don't think there'll be a launch number that's an inhibitor on national security stuff. Yeah, so, and then we've got the STP mission that's coming up, which is another test mission. That'll go on where everything's on Block 5, version 5 of the rocket. And then we'll be launching version 5 or Block 5 single stick in a couple months. So I think it's hopefully smooth sailing for qualification for national security missions. Our investment to date, probably a lot more than I'd like to admit. We try to cancel the Falcon Heavy program 3 times at SpaceX. Because it's like, man, this is way harder than we thought. Because the initial idea was just like, you stick on two first stages of side boosters, how hard can it be? It's like, it's way hard. We had to redesign the center core completely. We had to redesign the grid fins, because it's a long story, but if you've got a nose cone on the end of at the end of the booster instead of a cylinder, you lose control authority. Because if you've got a cylinder, you can kind of bounce the air off of the rocket, and you get like a 50% or more increased control authority if you've got a cylindrical section instead of an ogive section at the end of the booster. So we had to redesign the grid fins, redesign the control system, massively redesign the thrust structure at the base to take way more load. That center booster's got to deal with over 1 million pounds of load coming in combined from the side boosters. So it ends up being heavier. So the center core is basically a complete redesign. And even the side boosters, there's a pretty large number of parts that change. And then the launch site itself needs to change a lot. I'm guessing our total investment is over $500 million. Probably more. Yeah.
I'd like to take some questions from the phone. I think the first one up is Dan Vergano from BuzzFeed News. Is that right?
That's right. Dan Vergano, BuzzFeed News. Could you talk a little bit about the decision to have the 2 side cores come down at the same time? Is that just the way it falls out from the physics, or was that an actual decision you made?
We did offset them slightly, but really they pretty much just come down. That there's no. We wanted them to offset slightly just so that the radars didn't interfere, and we actually wanted no communication between the two stages. They're both going to a point in absolute space, and we're just worried that the radar reflection of one would be seen by the radar receiver of the other. But no, that's just kind of how it happened. It's actually meant to happen just like that.
Street nearly 2 years that they're not really giving out any details. They're still trying to figure it out. But the big lingering question I'm sure you guys are asking yourselves is, how does a regular, by any standards, just an ordinary married father, a firefighter, on top of a mountain in New York, skiing with a group of friends, suddenly vanish off the face of the planet, it would seem, only to appear 3,000 miles away, stumbling, confused, wearing the exact same ski gear, goggles and hat, winter clothes, no idea how he got there. I mean, does this sound familiar to you guys? You know, this immediately reminded me of one of the most infamous alien abduction cases many of you have probably heard of, and that was the case of the Travis Walton UFO incident. Now, if you study this topic, particularly that of aliens or UFOs or abductions, likely you'll have heard of Travis Walton. But if you don't, just a quick recap here. Travis Walton was an American logger, okay? He worked in the woods on a logging team, and back on November 5th, 1975, he was out working with a logging crew in a national forest in Arizona, when suddenly he disappeared. Again, from what felt like the face of the earth. They could not find this guy. It wasn't until 5 days later, after a massive search which turned up nothing, that they found Mr. Walton stumbling up to a payphone, confused, didn't know what had happened, and after some time it was revealed that the few memories he did have were that he and 6 of his coworkers who were riding in a truck encountered a saucer-shaped object hovering above the ground, making a high-pitched noise. Walton claimed that he left the truck and approached the object when a beam of light suddenly appeared from the craft, knocking him to the ground. The other 6 men were frightened, hightailing it out of the area, making their escape. And all of these men, starting with Travis, along with his 6 co-workers, all share the same story, that they saw this object, they tried to get away, Walton was left behind, and that is when he disappeared, only to appear 5 days later, detailing memories of waking up on what appeared to him to be a hospital-like room, being observed by short, bald creatures, what would later become known as the typical alien greys, who had allegedly taken him aboard their ship. To do what with, we don't know. According to Walton, that is when he blacked out and claimed that he remembered nothing else until he was found stumbling, walking along the highway, trying to figure out what had happened. Now, of course, I'm not saying that that is what happened in this instance. It's just what brought that to mind. Now, it also brings to mind some other stories that, if you remember, we spoke about when we interviewed Mr. David Paulides, who is the author of the Missing 411 series. And if you don't know about these books, you guys need to read them. And what the Missing 411 is basically a series of books that have cataloged thousands of these cases where people have mysteriously gone missing around or within national forests. And in many of those cases, and we're talking from grown adults down to children, have disappeared in certain areas, where in which, like in this case, there would be a massive search, no one would be found, And it wouldn't be until later on where these people would reappear hundreds or sometimes thousands of miles away with no recollection of how they got there. And in many of the cases where it was children or senior citizens, you have the physical aspect that right off the bat would keep them from even being able to traverse these massive distances on their own. And so I did an interview with Mr. Paulides when he came out with his documentary called The Missing 411, and you guys can check out that video on the channel. But again, I'm just detailing you some of the strange things that happen that are similar to what has happened here. Now, we don't have any more information as of yet, but I am really interested as to what happened here and what the authorities are going to tell us. How did this man disappear from a mountain and make it 3,000 miles away? As you heard earlier, he didn't have his car. He left his car. He didn't have identification or his wallet, so he couldn't have driven himself to an airport. He didn't have any money or his identification, so even if he could have made it to an airport, he wouldn't have had money or ID to purchase said ticket. He was also found confused, wearing the exact same ski clothes that he was wearing on the mountain. And so you don't have to be a UFO researcher or a conspiracy theorist to say something is not right here. And so, yeah, I will put the link to this down below, the story. He was found 6 days later from upstate New York, and you guys stay tuned. What more can I say? So put your theories down below. I'm anxious to hear what you guys have to say. Be sure to stay tuned, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when we post a new video. Follow me on social media and Twitter, and I will see you guys back here in just a bit.
Everyone wants to scam you. Already scammed, and you didn't notice. Politicians are lying to you, promising...
Repeat, the whole village of Cambria is out of power. 10-4 copy, the whole village of Cambria is out of power.
I was scanning through the frequencies and stuff, and we came across this one frequency. I've come across this here, and I can't figure out what it is.
I heard this horrifying sound from the sky, just really, really scary sound. There it is. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Buzz over the last few weeks about strange sounds being heard in the atmosphere. People around the world and here at home have reported hearing some bizarre noises. The latest were recorded in the Battlefords last weekend.
What the f*** is going on? This is real. Sounds like music in the sky.
People from around the world are reporting hearing sounds that resemble the sound of a trumpet coming from the sky. Could these be apocalyptic trumpets the Bible talks about in the last days? The rapture and the trumpet of God. And nobody knows what the trumpet of God sounds like.
Weird noise everywhere. Guy's been in New York since late 90s, so he's never heard that noise before today.
First you heard the big boom, and it kind of went right through you. It was that loud. And then the whole house just shook. It literally shook.
To many, it sounded like a massive explosion in Southington this morning, but police could not find a source. And now...
strange noises heard around the world the last few weeks has people buzzing. Clips posted from Arizona to England and right next door in Manitoba, all showing folks alarmed by what sounds like a noise straight out of a science fiction flick.
Okay, it's recording.
Some bizarre noises.
Some strange noises heard around the world the last few weeks.
There is now audio proof.
Hello, what's up everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is your host, CryptoSomniac, here to bring you everything crypto related where the rich never sleep. Today, I would like to compare QTOM, Quantum Resistance Ledger, to NEO and whether or not you should invest. If you take the time to reshare this on Twitter or retweet it on my Twitter here or reshare this video here in Facebook, you will be eligible come Sunday during the Crypto Weekly Digest to be eligible for the free cryptocurrency giveaway. So, if you're not a member of the Facebook community, I would suggest taking a look at it. The link is below. We have a great community of people here involved in the cryptocurrency space and a great way to stay involved. We have a lot of cool members posting things that even I can't stay on top about. I'm learning new things every day, so take a look at that. But without further ado, I want to compare QTUM versus NEO. So I put together this presentation, and let's take a look. So I'm going to cover QTUM in a little bit more detail than NEO. I've been talking about NEO for the past couple of weeks. This is my first video covering QTUM, so I'm going to have a little bit more slides here on QTUM, but I will definitely compare the two. So QTUM is a blockchain made ready enterprise business. It's ready to accept basically business to business, and that is something that I really like when I'm looking to invest in a new cryptocurrency. Business to business has the opportunity to basically pull in more money. And what QTUM is, it's basically a decentralized, it's a platform that allows you to build decentralized apps or dApps on its network, very similar to Ethereum and very similar to NEO. QTUM is basically a competitor to NEO, especially in the West. And you can execute these on mobile devices and compatible with a lot of existing blockchain ecosystems. I really like what they are doing and what they're said to do. And in this video, I'm going to compare the two, NEO and QTUM, very extensively. So just to cover some basics on the pricing, the ICO launched about a couple of months ago, so there isn't a whole lot of history. But recently we had an increase from about $5 all the way up to past the $10 mark, and at the time of this video, $12.11. And there are a couple reasons why, but the market cap is about 714 million, pretty solid. I like to see anything over 100 million is pretty solid. The volume is pretty good at 50 million, one of the top coins being traded at the moment. And the total supply is 100 million. And we're going to cover why that is important in just a moment. But I do like the statistics and the numbers so far here on QTUM. Let's talk a little bit about NEO. NEO just finished their rebranding August 8th yesterday, and I love a lot of what they did. The website looks smooth, they look sleek. I like the colors. I like how they really transitioned from NEO from Ant Coin or Ant Shares, because when you're enterprise ready and you're working business to business, logos, feel, looks, this all is very
When you think stock exchange, do you see starchy and uptight bankers?
Hey, how you guys doing? Cardano is being actively
A Menti investigation will open your eyes.
What we want to discuss is artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, an overview of what is the blockchain? Why is it so important to cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence? You're the first person to tell me you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting.
So the blockchain is essentially a system solving problems.
Yeah.
And every time it solves a problem, it gets a block.
Okay.
Like a building block for a building. So essentially, it's not really mining coin, it's building blocks for a
any economy. You don't want too much too fast, because then the value of your currency drops, or so slow that your economy grounds to a halt. It's designed to be a self-stabilizing economy. Whether it actually is that way, though, well, that is a little bit more complicated.
The currency of the future, or is it the payment system they're developing?
Bingo! It's the payment system. It's the blockchain encryption, and they're interesting things. I think Bitcoin, or the really blockchain encryption that's behind it, has a greater ability to bring more of the world's population out of poverty than anything.
A currency that's really going to work eventually?
Well, I think it is working, and there will be other currencies like it that may be even better. But in the meantime, there's a big industry around Bitcoin, and you know, people have made fortunes out of Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, there is no Bitcoin company, there is no Bitcoin building. There's not even a Bitcoin server anywhere that you could shut down. It is completely distributed. That's what's unique about Bitcoin. It is, for the first time, a way for the two of us to exchange value online without a third-party intermediary. Until the invention of Bitcoin, for you and me to exchange money online, we had to employ a third party, like PayPal, like Visa, like MasterCard, right? Now, we live in the 21st century. If we want to have a video call to China, we can do that for free. But to send a couple $100, which is essentially just ones and zeros being moved around, costs 5%, plus it takes over a day.
I keep finding new layers of depth to understand this. And the reason it's so fascinating is because it isn't what it appears to be at first glance. Bitcoin isn't money. The blockchain isn't a system of currency. It is a platform of trust. It's not a company. It's not a product. It's not a service you sign up for. It's not a currency. Currency is just the first application. It is the concept of decentralization applied to the human communication.
The only reason cryptocurrency has a monetary value is to make it important to humans, so they build the machines.
Well, to run them.
It's designed to do all that stuff and to get you, the consumer, to offer your computer to do it on behalf of the bank.
Got it.
There is the platform, is the centralized platform that controls it. So if the platform were to get hacked...
But I haven't heard anyone before our conversation earlier today link artificial intelligence to cryptocurrency.
That's because they don't understand transactional systems. Okay, so for an AI...
Did you come up with this, or have you heard anybody else talk about this link?
No, I could show you the cryptocurrency that the AI made to make this all happen. It's out in public on GitHub. I was the 10th person in the world to fork it.
Telephone jack and plug it into this box here, the modem. I then take another wire from the modem and plug it in where the telephone was. I can then switch on the modem. It's now telling me to phone up the main Pressel computer.
So it's a very simple connection to make.
Extremely
Why did you buy a computer?
Well, I was very interested in the new technology and didn't want to be left behind. I don't think it's only for the youngsters at school now. I think us older ones will have to learn a lot about it.
Life in the 21st century is one of constant radical transformation. The internet and the rapid rate in which new technologies are developed and adapted have altered the way in which we connect and live our lives. In the last 20 years, internet usage by American adults has gone from 16 to 86%, with over 93% of adults between the ages of 18 and 49 connecting to the World Wide Web.
In 2010, we had 1.8 billion people connected online. Today, it's about 2.8 billion. It will be 8 billion by 2020. And this massive demand for internet connectivity is leading an explosion in the desire for space, satellites, communications capabilities.
The adoption rates for new technologies that change how we move through time.
What is going on, guys? Patrick here, bringing you a brand new video. Today I have a video that a lot of people have been asking me about. I'm going to make a video about Tron. We're going to give you guys my Tron price prediction, talk about the upcoming events. At the end of the video, we are going to pick a winner from last video to win the Bitcoin giveaway. Now guys, I'm going to give that winner 24 hours to claim their giveaway. If they don't, then I'm going to come back to this video right now and pick a winner from this video. So if you want to enter